Tonight, we continue our in-depth look into the race involving the open seat for the redrawn California Congressional District 3. It is a massive district extending from Chester and Plumas County to the north all the way south to Death Valley. Thanks for sticking with us tonight. For Fox 40 News, I'm Eric Rucker. In this evening for Eric Harriman.
And I'm Nikki Lorenzo. Last night, we brought you my discussion with the Republican candidate in the race, Assemblymember Kevin Kiley. Well, tonight, my interview with Dr. Kermit Jones, the Democratic candidate in this race. Jones is a physician here in Northern California, is a Navy veteran who was deployed to Iraq after 9/11. He was also a White House fellow during the Obama administration. Here is part one of my conversation with Dr. Kermit Jones. Okay, Dr. Kermit Jones, you are new to politics, not new to service. Obviously a doctor, we know that.
Yep.
You're a veteran, but now you want to serve in D.C.
Right.
Why do you want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, D.C. is a big place. I think this is a different type of service for me. You know, as you said, I've been a doctor for about 17 years, had the privilege of taking the Hippocratic Oath, have treated over 20,000 patients, had the privilege of serving in the military, joined after 9/11, went out with the Marines as a doctor a couple times, 2007 during the surge, 2008. And for me, in both of those instances, you know, whether it was learning to be a doctor, there was no partisanship. There were no Republicans and Democrats. You don't see that with my patients. You know, you've never had your doctor ask your political affiliation. You know, it's not what we do. Same thing with respect to the military. You know, we just did what we had to do to get the mission done. So I think when people are looking at Congress today and they're looking at politics, they're seeing it as broken. They're seeing people that are, you know, the truth depends upon what party you're in. But the problems that we have are much bigger than that. So I'm running for Congress because I want to help fix those problems for people in my district.
Was there a specific moment where you said, I got to get off the couch or get up from wherever you were and take some action and run? I mean, what was the catalyst for you wanting to run in this district, which is, you know, a newly formed district because of redistricting, leans red?
Right.
What made you want to do that? Was there something specific?
I think there were a couple of things. Just like so many other things that I think motivate people, you may have something that kind of pushes you closer and closer until you decide to take the leap. One of the biggest things, my mom, and I say this on the trail all the time, was a nurse for 30 years, taught me everything that made me want to become a doctor. Was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in 2018, even though she never smoked. Wow. The experience that we had in the healthcare system, and I had treated patients before, but this is someone I had known my entire life. The experience that she had, and I think the challenges that were only overcome by someone who was a physician, made me say, you know what, the politicians are not getting this right. You know, the debates that I heard, even when I worked on campaigns, because I've worked on campaigns, were debates that seemed to be more of, well, how do you get elected, as opposed to how do you actually fix the problem? And finally, you know, we have some of the worst fires in California in our district. That's why I have, you know, a federal fire insurance plan that I love to talk to people about. But more important than that, you know, I have an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old who I love dearly, and that 8-year-old has asthma. And so, you know, during I think it may have been the Dixie Fire some time ago, the skies were so bad in some of these areas and the air quality was so bad, either that or the Calder Fire, or many of the other ones that we've had, in which he couldn't go out to play for weeks. You know, or if he went out, he had to use an inhaler. And so I think these problems that we have are so big that I just decided, look, you know, we need to have people with practical experience, people who don't have political experience, you know, that aren't trying to figure out where the political winds are going, to just try to do the service of the people and get things done.
How has it been going around the district? This is a vast district. You have large suburban areas, large rural areas. The biggest district, I believe it is the biggest district.
It is the biggest district in California.
In California.
Yeah.
So someone with no political experience, not a lot of name ID, and also a Democrat.
Sure.
I mean, what's that been like?
You know, it's been very refreshing, to be honest with you, because when I was in Plumas and my campaign manager was there with me a few months ago, I was, you know, in a sawmill talking to a room of Republican males. And, you know, these were people that after I spoke to them about how, as a person who has no political experience but has leadership experience from the military, I feel my job as the elected representative of this district would be to push back on either party if they're not doing what needs to be done. So, you know, if there's a Democrat that says that we need to defund the police, I say no. That's why I've been endorsed by PORAC, because I've listened to, and that's the largest police officers union in the state. You know, I listen to the things that they need and how they do their job and what they need for that job. And they actually need more people going to the police academies. I was talking to a sheriff about this the other day, as opposed to less. They need more ability to interact with the communities, or pushing back against some of those Republicans, you know, like Lindsey Graham or some of these other ones that want to do a national ban on abortion. You know, I mean, like I said, as a doctor, when I was in medical school, I didn't see a politician next to me. You know, I saw people that wanted to take care of people. So we need people that want to do these things for people that make their lives better, first and foremost. That literally want to put people before politics. And I think people see that when I talk to them on the trail. So whether it's those Republican males, and a fair number of them left that meeting and said, you know, I'm voting for you, you know, or whether it's, I think, some of the ones that are Democrats and say we want someone to fight for, you know, better policies with respect to drought, or better policies with respect to how do we prevent the mosquito fire, or how do we make it so people's fire insurance isn't going from $1,000 a year to $10,000 a year. Someone that actually cares about people regardless of what they call themselves politically.
You're a centrist Democrat. It's like those are unicorns right now. We don't really hear of that because there's so much divisiveness in Washington. The Democratic Party is accused of going very, very left. The Republican Party, you know, sort of extremist right, and there's not a lot of room for compromise in Washington right now. In an ad that you put out recently, and you kind of touched on it in your last answer, and I'm going to quote part of it just so I make sure I get it right. You say, when Democrats talk about defunding the police and the Republicans want to criminalize abortion, I'll stand up to both of them. You think you can do both at the same time?
Yes, I think we need to. I mean, I think the key part of what you just said in that phrase was Washington. When I'm out there talking to people, most people are in the center. Most people in our country believe that there are problems that are bigger than the parties, and they just want to get things done. From what I've heard a lot of people say, they say, look, you know, I vote X party because I never felt like I had a choice on the other side. If we keep doing that, we will become some of these countries that, you know, are more concerned about division than they are bringing us together. And so for me, I think I can do both of those at the same time because I'm not a career politician. You know, I'm not like so many people out there like my opponent. This isn't the fifth thing that I've run for in 5 years. I'm not doing this as a career. So when I talk to people, I say, yes, I love being a doctor. I'll be a doctor on the other side of this. I love taking care of people. I love listening to their issues. I love fixing their problems. And so having that perspective, I know, you know, as the founding fathers designed our system, I'm not doing this as a career change to be a politician for the next 20 years. I'm going there to be a voice of the people of this district, get some things done, and then when it's time to leave, it's time to leave. Give someone else an opportunity to be that voice.
Coming up next, part 2 of my interview with congressional candidate Dr. Kermit Jones, including his thoughts on President Biden and also his plans if voters decide to send him to Washington. That's next.